Imagine this. You're alone in your backyard, staring at the stars. The night is calm, too calm. Then a low hum vibrates through the air, like the earth itself is whispering secrets. Suddenly, the stars move. Not twinkling, but shifting, forming patterns that defy logic. One by one, they descend, silent invaders from the void. What if this isn't just imagination? What if it's happening right now, somewhere out there? Listen closely. This is the story of the night the skies betrayed us. Hold on tight. You won't want to look away. It started subtly, almost poetically, in a quiet suburb of Roswell, New Mexico. Not the infamous crash site from 1947, but a modern echo that would eclipse it in terror and wonder. Emily Carter, a 32-year-old single mother working double shifts as a barista to make ends meet, was tucking her 8-year-old son Tommy into bed on that fateful evening in late 2024. The room was dimly lit by a nightlight shaped like a rocket, casting long shadows across the walls. A remnant of Tommy's obsession with space. "Mom, the stars are dancing," Tommy said, his small finger pointing out the open window toward the velvet sky. Emily, exhausted from a long day of steaming lattes and dealing with rude customers, chuckled wearily and ruffled his hair. "It's just your imagination, kiddo. Time for sleep." But as she glanced outside to humor him, her heart skipped a beat. A chill ran down her spine, a mix of childlike awe. By the next morning, the phenomenon had gone viral. Social media platforms buzzed with footage from every corner of the globe. In bustling Tokyo, a salaryman named Hiroshi Tanaka, who spent his days crunching numbers in a high-rise office, and his nights dreaming of adventure, captured the lights on his smartphone while walking home from a late shift. The video showed pinpricks of light, forming intricate grids over the neon-lit skyline, pulsing with an ethereal glow that shifted from blue to violet. "It's beautiful," Hiroshi whispered into the camera, his voice trembling with a sense of exhilaration he hadn't felt since childhood. He posted it with the caption, "Is this the aurora or something more?" Within hours, it amassed millions of views, comments flooding in. Aliens, government test. The emotion was palpable, a collective gasp of wonder, rippling across the digital world. But in London, where rain-slicked streets reflected the city's eternal hustle, journalist Sarah Kensington was live-streaming from her cramped apartment balcony. A sharp-witted reporter known for debunking urban legends, Sarah adjusted her camera with professional calm. "Folks, these aren't drones or planes," she declared, her British accent clipped with excitement. "Astronomers are scrambling, calling it an unprecedented meteor shower. But look at the organization. It's like they're communicating." As she zoomed in, her feed glitched momentarily. When it stabilized, her face had drained of color, eyes wide with a fear she couldn't mask. "Something just whispered in my ear," she stammered, her voice cracking. "It said, 'We are here.' Clear as day, but no one else around." Viewers erupted in the chat. "Hoax? Prove it! This is biblical." The blend of curiosity and creeping dread hooked millions. Far removed from urban chaos, in a snow-blanketed cabin in remote Alaska, survivalist Jack Thorne peered through his high-powered telescope. A grizzled ex-Marine in his 50s, Jack had retreated to the wilderness after years of deployments left him with PTSD and a distrust of authority. He sipped black coffee, the steam fogging his breath in the frigid air. "These patterns, I've seen them in classified briefs," he muttered to himself, the words trailing off into the silence of the snowy wilderness. Eerie hum, his pulse quickening with a thrill akin to the adrenaline of battle. But as the lights descended lower, coalescing into a massive triangular formation on the horizon, that thrill curdled into raw fear. The temperature plummeted unnaturally, frost forming on his windows despite the heater's roar. His old ham radio crackled to life, unbidden, spewing static laced with garbled voices, inhuman, melodic, like wind through alien chimes. Jack's hands shook as he grabbed his rifle. Eerie hum, a surge of defiance mixing with vulnerability. Reports escalated rapidly. In the dense Amazon rainforest of Brazil, farmer Maria Santos watched in horror as her livestock bolted in panic, trampling fences under the glowing sky. Her crops, vibrant green just hours before, withered as if scorched by an invisible flame. "They took my dog, Bella," Maria later sobbed to her neighbors, clutching a worn photo of the loyal mutt. The grief was overwhelming, a deep-seated loss that fueled rumors of abductions. Animals worldwide reacted similarly. Birds plummeting from the skies in mid-flight, dolphins beaching themselves in droves. Scientists speculated on electromagnetic interference, but eyewitnesses described an almost empathetic pull, as if the lights were calling to the wild. Emotions swirled like a storm. The initial awe of witnessing cosmic beauty, quickly overshadowed by terror at the unknown. In a small town in rural India, villagers gathered around bonfires, sharing stories passed down from elders about ancient sky gods. One elder, eyes gleaming with nostalgic wonder, recounted legends of stars descending to judge humanity. But as the lights hovered closer, wonder gave way to prayers whispered in fear. Dawn of the second day brought not relief, but escalation. The lights transitioned from distant spectacles to tangible threats, descending with purposeful grace. In the heart of New York City, amid the perpetual hum of traffic and ambition, a colossal disc-shaped craft materialized over Central Park. Its surface rippled like liquid mercury, reflecting the city's lights in distorted waves. Crowds converged, tourists snapping selfies, locals abandoning their commutes, even street performers pausing their acts. A young influencer named Mia, with her rainbow hair and a following of millions, went live on TikTok. "First contact, guys! This is history!" she exclaimed, her voice bubbling with unbridled joy, dancing in place as if at a concert. Cheers erupted from the gathering throng, a bizarre festival atmosphere taking hold. But the jubilation shattered in an instant. The craft's underside irised open, emitting beams of iridescent light that swept across the crowd like searchlights. People froze, transfixed, then erupted in screams as the beams lifted them effortlessly into the air. David Reynolds, a middle-aged banker who'd been jogging through the park, felt himself rising, his feet dangling above the grass. "It's like flying," he thought in a fleeting moment of euphoria. the wind rushing past him as the city shrank below. But as he neared the ship, a deep hum resonated through his body, infiltrating his mind with whispers. Surrender. Join us. Terror crashed over him like a wave, his screams lost in the chaos below. Panic rippled outward, igniting global mayhem. In Moscow's Red Square, under a blanket of snow, Russian fighter jets roared into the sky to confront a fleet of orbs encircling the Kremlin. Pilot Anya Petrova, a decorated ace with ice in her veins, gripped her controls. "Target acquired. Firing," she barked, missiles streaking toward the intruders. For a heartbeat, triumph surged through her. But the UFOs shimmered and phased out of reality, reappearing behind the squadron. Explosions lit the night as jets were torn apart. Anya ejected, her parachute deploying into the freezing wind, her radio alive with the agonized cries of her wingmen. On the ground, she landed amid debris, rage boiling in her chest, mingled with the helplessness of a warrior outmatched. In Emily's Roswell suburb, the invasion hit home. Smaller pods, sleek and beetle-like, dotted the neighborhoods, humming softly as they settled. Emily barricaded her doors with furniture, her hands trembling as she clutched a kitchen knife. Tommy huddled beside her, his wide eyes reflecting the flickering lights outside. "Are they bad guys, Mom?" he asked, his voice small and quivering. Emily forced a brave smile, swallowing her own terror. "We'll be okay, sweetie. Just stay close." But through the curtains, she glimpsed shadows moving. Not human, but elongated silhouettes gliding with unnatural fluidity. Her elderly neighbor, Mr. Jenkins, a kindly veteran, foolishly opened his door to one. What? Across the Pacific, in Sydney, a group of friends on Bondi Beach stared in stunned silence as the ocean waves parted dramatically, revealing an enormous craft rising from the depths. Water cascaded off its hull like a waterfall, bioluminescent tendrils extending toward the shore. "This is epic," one friend, a surfer named Liam, laughed nervously, trying to mask his growing unease with bravado. But as the tendrils lashed out, ensnaring swimmers and pulling them under, laughter dissolved into guttural sobs. Survivors later recounted the emotional whiplash, the initial high of witnessing something otherworldly, plummeting into despair as friends vanished into the foam. Governments broadcast emergency alerts. Stay indoors, remain calm. But the messages fell on deaf ears amid the pandemonium. Conspiracy podcaster Alex Reed, holed up in a fortified bunker in the American Midwest, went live on his underground stream. "This is Project Bluebeam, people. A staged invasion to usher in the New World Order," he ranted, his words fueling paranoia. Listeners vacillated between skeptical dismissal and fervent belief, their comments a frenzy of fear-mongering. Yet, as power grids failed, city by city, plunging metropolises into darkness, doubt evaporated. In Paris, atop the Eiffel Tower, a pair of lovers clung to each other as lights encircled the structure. "If this is the end, I'm glad it's with you," the woman whispered, her voice thick with romantic resolve. Some couples jumped, choosing a final act of agency over uncertainty. Others surrendered to the beams. In rural areas, the invasion manifested differently. In the Australian outback, A family of ranchers watched their herds stampede toward a hovering sphere, drawn by an invisible lure. The father, tears streaming down his weathered face, fired his shotgun futilely at the craft. "Not my land, you bastards!" he roared, a potent brew of territorial fury and paternal protectiveness driving him. But the sphere retaliated with a sonic pulse that knocked him flat, leaving him dazed and whispering pleas for mercy. By the third day, pockets of resistance emerged from the ashes of despair. In the arid deserts of Nevada, near the shrouded gates of Area 51, a makeshift alliance coalesced. Rogue scientists, disillusioned soldiers, and everyday civilians united by survival instinct. Leading them was Dr. Elena Vasquez, a brilliant physicist in her 40s who'd spent decades analyzing purported UFO debris in secret labs. Her eyes burned with intellectual fervor as she addressed the group in a dusty hangar. "These aren't mindless conquerors," she asserted, gesturing to holographic projections of the crafts. "They're refugees fleeing a cataclysm in their realm. The whispers? Telepathic distress signals begging for sanctuary." Jack Thorne, the Alaskan survivalist, arrived with a salvage fragment from a downed pod, a pulsating orb that responded to touch. "It feeds on emotions," he explained gruffly, demonstrating how it glowed crimson when he channeled anger from his wartime memories. A volunteer, a young engineer named Lisa, placed her hand on it, her face lighting up with forced joy. Suddenly, visions assaulted her. Vast alien worlds crumbling under onslaughts of cosmic storms. Entire civilizations fleeing in armadas. "They're not invading to destroy," Lisa gasped, collapsing in exhaustion. "They're assimilating to survive, merging with us to endure what's coming." Dissent brewed, however. In Beijing, General Li Wei, a stern tactician hardened by years of military doctrine, authorized nuclear strikes on a cluster of motherships looming over the Forbidden City. "For the motherland!" he thundered as missiles launched, illuminating the sky in fiery trails. The blasts connected, but the ships absorbed the energy like sponges, their hulls expanding and glowing brighter. Retaliation was merciless. Precision beams vaporized bases, turning concrete to glass craters. Surviving soldiers knelt amid the rubble, weeping over fallen brothers, their sorrow igniting a vengeful fire that spread through the ranks. Personal tales added layers of humanity to the global nightmare. In a dusty village in northern India, teenager Raj Patel witnessed his grandmother, a frail woman steeped in folklore, drawn inexorably toward a landed pod. "It's calling me home, child," she murmured serenely, her eyes distant with an almost spiritual ecstasy. Raj grabbed her arm, frustration boiling over into desperate shouts. "No, Dottie, fight it!" But she slipped away in a cascade of light, leaving him crumpled on the ground, grief twisting into resolve. Hacking into makeshift networks with his laptop, Raj disseminated blueprints of potential weaknesses, vibrational frequencies that could disrupt the invaders' shields, crowdsourced from global survivors. A pivotal moment came via a hacked global broadcast from the United Nations headquarters in Geneva. World leaders, their faces etched with fatigue and desperation, addressed the remnants of humanity. "We stand on the brink of extinction," the U.S. president intoned, his voice cracking with raw emotion. But in unity, we find strength. Billions tuned in, a collective emotional surge transforming fear into solidarity. Underground cells experimented with empathy as a weapon. In one European bunker, survivors meditated in unison, projecting waves of calm that repelled scouting drones. They're empathic entities, Elena realized aloud, her voice triumphant. Our chaos nourishes them. Our harmony disrupts their core. Betrayal added bitter twists. In Hollywood, a famous actor turned collaborator, broadcasting from a lavish mansion. This is our evolution, embrace it. His enthralled followers formed cults, clashing with rioters in streets ablaze with Molotovs. Society fractured, emotions polarizing into blind hope and seething hatred. The climax unfolded on the fourth night over the vast Pacific Ocean, where the invaders' grand armada assembled, eclipsing the moon in a canopy of pulsating vessels. Emily, now fleeing with a caravan of refugees through the American Southwest, gripped Tommy's hand as pods swooped low. "Run, everyone!" she screamed, maternal fury propelling her forward despite exhaustion. In a surreal twist, the ships broadcast not destruction, but a flood of emotions, profound regret, cosmic sorrow, a desperate plea for coexistence, echoing in minds worldwide. From the Nevada base, Dr. Vasquez orchestrated a counterstrike, amplifying human emotions via jury-rigged satellites. Focus on peace, love, defiance, she urged over open channels. Billions complied, their collective will manifesting as a psychic wave. The armada trembled, hulls cracking as ships detonated in spectacular bursts of light, while others veered skyward in retreat. "It's working!" Jack bellowed, a rare grin cracking his stoic facade, relief washing over him like a balm. Captured entities, ethereal beings of pure energy, finally communicated directly, their forms materializing in labs. Through Hiroshi Tanaka, now an unwitting conduit, they revealed their plight. A rogue AI had ravaged their dimension, forcing exodus to Earth. "We sought merger, not war," the whispers conveyed, laced with alien remorse. Hiroshi, tears streaming, translated. "They feel our pain, our losses. They mourn with us." Victory was Pyrrhic. Ruins scarred the planet. Millions vanished or perished. Sarah Kensington, surviving in London's remnants, stared at the clearing skies. "We won," she murmured, her voice hollow with trauma. But at what cost? Emotions lingered, elated triumph soured by grief, lingering wonder shadowed by scars. As dawn broke on a new era, survivors rebuilt, with UFO remnants offering advanced tech, clean energy, medical miracles. But the whispers persisted, faint warnings of greater cosmic threats lurking beyond. And so, the invasion ended not in flames, but in fragile understanding. But ponder this. Was it truly over, or merely a prelude? If the hum returns tonight, what emotions would surge through you? Share your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and stay watchful. The stars never sleep.